Dana Gas is the only publicly listed oil and gas company in the Middle East. We're actually listed on the Abu Dhabi Stock Exchange. We're a mid-cap company, so we have a market value of about $2 billion, and we currently produce about 70,000 barrels of oil a day equivalent. Our main assets currently are in Egypt and in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. And our assets are pretty well evenly spread between those two areas. So, of course, we have great interest in the emerging markets because that's really where our assets are located. So, in terms of your question on Davos and the World Economic Forum, this is my first time. So I haven't been before. So I'm learning. But clearly, what I can sense is that it's a fantastic place to come and put your fingers on the pulse of the planet, if you like. What are the main issues and topics of concern, particularly as it relates, of course, to international business and global economy. But there are also a large number of social-related issues being discussed and debated here, which I think is entirely right.
Well, it's my first time here at WEF as well, so hey, two novices riding the wave. But perhaps if you could walk us through the emerging market story. Economic growth in many countries, emerging economies, is under pressure. You operate in countries like Egypt, Iraq, as well as United Arab Emirates. Are you optimistic about future economic growth in those areas?
I'm extremely optimistic about economic growth in the areas that we operate in, which is in the Middle Eastern region. Egypt is a population of close to 90 million. It's growing at 6% per annum. It's got a huge young population. The intrinsic potential of the country, they've got a highly educated workforce, is fantastic. So they have temporary difficulties and challenges that need to be faced, but I'm extremely confident that they will bounce back from that, and that Egypt will become once again a major growth story in the Middle Eastern area. The Kurdistan region of Iraq has been a fantastic success story in the sense that if you look back some 6 or 7 years ago and the state of the economy, the state of the infrastructure, we are extremely proud of the fact that it was our company together with our partners who invested over $1 billion in the Kurdistan region of Iraq to allow it to produce gas for power generation, and we are the reasons why the power and the lights are on in Erbil, and that we have provided the basis for a sustained economic growth in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. So in both those areas, I think a fantastic success story and a fantastic future opportunities. The same applies to the Emirates. Of course, there was the challenge in the financial crisis back in 2008 that have been overcome. And growth is back in the Middle East, growth is back in the Emirates, and we are well positioned, of course, being from the region, to supply the increased power needs and demands and the gas requirements for the region.
When it comes to foreign direct investment, that's an issue that many emerging economies can relate to. Like in South Africa, we have our own fair amount of challenges with regard to how to attract foreign direct investment and to maintain that. Are there potential proposed solutions that you've identified or exchanged with in your interactions with other business leaders here?
Well, I think one of the things that businesses dislike, of course, is uncertainty and political risk. So clearly, there are more uncertainty there is in economies and in the political context of countries. That is definitely puts a brake on people's enthusiasm for investing large sums of money. The other thing, of course, that is absolutely important is respect for contract and the rule of law. That's an absolutely essential basis for people to be attracted to come in and invest money into these countries. Having said that, I think one of the advantages that we have as a company from the region is that we have, I think, a more accurate reading and understanding of the political risk. Perception of risk from outside the region can sometimes be over-exaggerated and inflated, and we feel that we have a more accurate feel for the real political risks, and therefore we feel that we have an advantage in being able to judge where and when we feel confident to invest our shareholders' money.
A common theme in many of the sessions that have been unfolding here at Davos relates to inequality, the ensuring that there's equality when it comes to social as well as economic participation of citizens. From a private sector's perspective, how will you manage to tackle that challenge regarding inequality?
Well, I think the first important thing is you have to have growth. What we have also seen, and we are very much part of that story, in providing fuel to these economies that need it and require it for their growth. We are permitting these economies to grow. What, of course, is important is the equitable distribution of that growth. Now, that's something that we are not directly involved in, although we have corporate social responsibility programs, which we're very, very proud of, both in Egypt and in the Kurdistan region of Iraq, where we make direct investments in other communities in which we operate. But we are very supportive of the idea that the pie needs to get bigger, but the pie needs to be spread more equitably at the same time.